no need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of Lennon. He's such an idealist, that John Lennon, daring to imagine a world where things are shared, where people are so aware of our interconnectedness to one another that greed cannot take root, where hunger does not exist. Lennon imagined and has the audacity to imagine a world where all humanity is united as siblings, as family, one family united in love. We've been spending time looking at the Beatitudes and hopefully hearing them with fresh ears. We have waded through the first 6 verses, and with each new teaching came something that we either had to recognize, something we had to let go of, or something we had to do. But the first 6 Beatitudes are merely stair steps to the 7th. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. This is the climax of the passage, where the other Beatitudes, where all of the other Beatitudes lead us. We want to be called peacemakers, don't we? We want to be called children of God. Yes? But notice this. Not until we, and you can look again at your call to worship, not until we become poor in spirit, we've learned meekness, we've hunger and thirst for God's righteousness, acted mercifully, have approached God and others with pure motives, are we ready to take up the call to become peacemakers? It takes all those things first. It's as if Jesus gives us all of the attributes of peacemakers and tells us and allows us to glimpse what the children of God look like in the world. Now, as a quick aside, some of us have a notion that it's not quite peacemakers. Notice the Beatitude does not say peace lovers or peace receivers or even peace preachers are called children of God. It is the makers of peace, those who can figure out a way to actively live differently. Peacemaking isn't something that you turn on and then turn off. It's a conscious choice you make every day. It's an intentional way of living, a lifestyle. And I believe Jesus put it here, and I could be overthinking this, not that I ever do that, but just stay with me. I think Jesus put it here because he knew that this beatitude is the one that could get his followers in trouble with Rome. All of the first 6 beatitudes, they're tough. They're tough changes to make internally for sure. But one can do all of those things and still live within the framework of the empire. But make that jump to peacemaker. Make that jump from talking about oppression to working to stop it. That's the stuff that gets you noticed. Why? Because oppression doesn't end without a power shift. Meaning, power has to be removed from the oppressor and given to the oppressed. And if history has taught us anything, power is rarely, if ever, given. Amen? It's taken. So yeah, peacemaking is going to get you noticed. In fact, those last 2 Beatitudes give coming attractions to those that actually adopt peacemaking as a lifestyle. What do they get for it? Punishment and persecution. But we'll get to that next week. For today, let's talk a little bit about what it means to be a peacemaker in the empire. And to do that, we need to talk a little bit about the empire for a moment. And I will use the term empire interchangeably with government and state. The empire runs on and by power. Power is gained in only 2 ways: violence or seduction. The first, violence can happen quickly, as in a war, or the taking of a people, a conquest, or it can happen slowly over time. We've talked previously about that slow takeover of a free people that happens where rights are stripped away little by little, so slowly, in fact, that a truly oppressed people will think their circumstances are, though unfair, normal. They've adopted the mindset of the oppressed, and that changing their situation is beyond hope. A truly oppressed people has had no choice but to have given their allegiance to the state. Now, for the Roman Empire, those who would not give their allegiance to the state, it was simple. They faced persecution. Profess Caesar as God, or be punished. The thing is, persecution didn't really work as a tactic against Christianity, did it? I mean, if it did, we would not be here 2,000 years later, still, with Christianity as one of the major world religions. And yes, Christians still are being persecuted in parts of the world, but why don't you hear so much about persecution in our nation? I was glad that Bev brought that up in the prayer. In the American Empire. It brings me to the second way the empire gains power. Seduction. What the kings and generals can't do with violence, governments can do with promises to the people. Promises of pleasure. Promises of peace. And what greater pleasure than that power offered by the empire? Wow. Safety, security, strong borders, prosperity, a great economy, a great nation. Give over lawmaking and the peacekeeping to the state, and the state does what it must. Tax, violence, oppress, keep everybody in line. It's a small price to pay for all that security, don't you think? And keeping everybody in love with the state, well, it's just natural. That's how seduction works. By continued love of country. We're taught to love the empire from the time we are this big in elementary school. Governments have their own colors. We have our own anthems. We have our own call when it comes time to rally around the flag boys. Amen?
Amen.
Seduction is the more powerful of the two. Even for the church. If you just go along with us, says the empire, let the church be incorporated into the empire. There will be something in it for everybody. We promise. The thing is, as children of God, our first allegiance is to who? Jesus, the kingdom of God. God's law comes first. God's commandments to love, to forgive, to not judge one another, to not resist evil, to not swear by or to anything but God. That's the problem Christians face living in the empire. The commandments of Christ rival the laws of the state. The state does not like having rivals. It's why we can never, no matter what you've been told or what you've been thought could happen, we can never have a Christian nation. There can be Christians in nations, but what God requires of us and what the state requires of us cannot be reconciled. The passage that Bev read to us this morning illustrates just how far back the struggle about being people of God in the empire goes. The people had come to Samuel. They were demanding a king. We want a king. We want a king. We want to be like all of those other nations. Look how all those other nations are protected by kings. We want that in our neighborhood. God has said no numerous times. God's response was, they have not rejected you, Samuel. They have rejected me. But God tells Samuel then to warn the people of the consequences of their request. Here's the scripture in a slightly different version than Ned brought you this morning. Listen to what happens to the people. God is telling them, this is what's going to happen when you take a king. So Samuel told them, delivering God's warning to the people who were asking God to give them a king, telling them what God said. Here's what God says. This is the way your kind of king you're talking about operates. God's telling them flat out, here's what it's like to be like to have a king. This king will take your sons and daughters, and our daughters, and make them soldiers. Chariotry, cavalry, infantry, regimented in battalions and squadrons. The king will put some forced labor onto the king's farms, plowing and harvesting, and in others, the king will have making weapons of war or chariots in which he can ride in luxury. The king will put your daughters to work as beauticians and waitresses and cooks. He'll conscript your best fields, vineyards, and orchards, and he'll hand them over to his special friends. The king will tax your harvests and vintage to support his extensive bureaucracy. Your prized workers and best animals, the king will take for his own use. He'll lay a tax on your flocks, and you'll end up being no better than slaves. The day will come, Israel, when you will cry in desperation because this king you want so much for yourselves is not everything he's cracked up to be. But the people wouldn't listen to Samuel. No, they said. We will have our king to rule us. Then we will be just like other nations. Our king will rule us and lead us and fight our battles. God was right about rulers and nations, especially in their violence and corruption. Amen? You know, not just the Gospels, but the entire New Testament was written in the context of the Roman Empire. The most dangerous words out of the mouths of Christians was, Jesus is Lord, where everyone was required under penalty of death to proclaim Caesar as Lord. The religious leadership of Israel had come to an uneasy truce with Rome. Rome was good at using both violence to control people and seduction of power for the religious leaders. I guess the thing that bothers me about this so much is that we're not so different from our Christian ancestors who had chosen whether to live with the seductive tactics of the empire or risk being persecuted for proclaiming allegiance to God. No one can serve two masters, Jesus tells us. We can't lean on the protection of the empire and live dependent on God at the same time. And so, my friends, the choice is up to us. As a church, yes, but first as individuals. Will we live within the framework of the empire or live within the framework of what God requires? Will we risk moving from talking about oppression to trying to stop it? We can't make the same mistake as the Israelites, crying out to have whatever the rest of the world has, and trade in our allegiance from God to the state. The intentional way in which we live as children of God means more giving over, absolutely. More giving up, yes, but it does not mean giving in. We must stand where God has placed us. Notice those things around us that need healing. Notice the people that need help, the world that needs hope, and bring peace with every step. Following the example of Jesus will not be easy. It will surely mean risk. Say it with me. It will surely mean risk. However, the good news. Jesus told us that the realm of God in our midst, it's right here. And we can discover it with each other. It has way more to offer than any kingdom or nation or empire we have ever experienced. All the promises our nation offers us, my friends, they're empty ones. The only life, the only promise that truly satisfies is in the life Christ exemplified for us. Jesus came to show us that the world as we know it needs peacemakers, needs children of God to rise up and live according to the teachings of Christ, to enact God's saving plan for the world. Such an idealist, that Jesus. Daring to imagine a world where things are shared, where people are so aware of our interconnectedness to one another that greed can't take root, where hunger does not exist. The Beatitudes imagine that world where humanity is united as siblings, a family united as one in love. And I know it sounds like Jesus is asking us to just go out there, change the world. He is. And Jesus was quite aware of the enormity of the risk and of the ask. But he also knew that the process for us to get there would be arduous. It's why he asks us to count the cost. It's why he asks us to begin this process in the deepest depths of our hearts, the center of our being. It's why we begin with ourselves being peacemakers, within ourselves, delving into who we are, what we really believe, what we fear, who we need to forgive, what we intend. Find out what we're passionate about, what and who comes first in our lives. Where is our allegiance? That's how we make peace within ourselves. We set our priorities, and then we move out to family, to friends, to community, and beyond. Peace, as the song says, truly does begin with me. It's why Jesus took time with individuals. We need one-on-one time with Jesus. Amen? Now, I know it's easy to look at the examples of peacemakers in the world and then make those people into larger-than-life figures, so much so that we can't see ourselves coming close to walking in their footsteps. That's okay. You don't have to walk in their footsteps. You have your own path to follow. The only thing you have to worry about walking to is God's rhythm. The peace of God reigning in your heart. You look for it before you step, and I promise you, God's footsteps will be before you. Amen. Let's sing together, "Let There Be Peace on Earth," and make this our prayer and our vow that we will open ourselves to God, to become the peacemakers, children of God, that God calls us to be.